our guy, Coach Cal, recently was on the Two Cents podcast with Penny Hardaway, and I highly recommend everyone go listen to the full episodes. Really good conversation between two really good coaches, and I always love seeing these two chop it up is always good, given their ties, and obviously Coach Cal was a big part of what Memphis basketball is. Penny being a player there, now a coach there, obviously means a lot. So it was a good conversation in general, but there was one thing that stuck out that made its way around social media, and it was that he said that one of the reasons that he doesn't want a team with 14 and 13 guys, he wants seven that you can get by, and we did. I thought we could win the national championship the way we played at the end, but I still only want to have eight or nine players. So this is kind of speaking to, obviously the rosters have added scholarships, so you're seeing a space where coaches can fill their roster with more players and more talented players instead of walk-on level players. Um, but basically speaking about, like, he's saying like that's the reason that he doesn't want a team with 14 and 13 guys. He said you can get by with seven. He wants eight or nine. That's kind of the sweet spot. I guess I'll throw it to you first, Dion, for your thoughts on that. Because I feel like there's some people that agree with that philosophy. There's some people that are like, that's probably what you want to do. You want to keep everybody keep eight to nine guys happy. Where do you stand on, I guess, this whole discussion?
I agree with the philosophy. I agree with nine more than eight. I can't believe like it's I know it's one number, but there's a massive difference to me between eight deep and nine deep. I think you should be 10 or 11 deep, like through the regular season, and then you shrink it to eight or nine for March Madness would be my recommendation to Calipari. But I'm not a head coach. He is, and he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But like I agree with his philosophy. I think Mark Pope does it in the way that I would do it personally. Like I know Mark Pope, he talks about like how deep his teams are, so on and so forth. But like if you look at Kentucky's roster, there's a clear, I mean, maybe you could say 10 players that are going to play in March Madness. And then there's like a Trent Noah, who I think is going to get burned in the regular season to kind of alleviate some of like the wear and tear on like a Mo Diabate, a JQ, or a Tega Owe, so on and so forth. But like, I also don't think Trent Noah is going to be like, hey, I want 15 minutes in March. Like he knows Ortega is going to get those minutes, and I think that's how you do it. To where it's like you bring in your eight or nine guys, and then you have a couple guys who can help those eight or nine guys get to the ultimate goal. And once they're at the ultimate goal, then you shrink it down a little bit.
This video is brought to you by NBA 2KLab.com. 2K Lab worked with us last summer as well. They're one of our favorite entities in all of sports gaming. We want to show you their college basketball stadium locator challenge game. And I'm going to share a screen right now as we do this. South Carolina, bang. Oh,
Ooh,
okay, that's pretty good. Next, North Carolina. Why are we only getting the Carolinas?
please
Bang.
lock in.
St. John's, that's New
New
York.
York.
Bang.
Where's New Jersey?
We're on fire. Colorado. I actually don't know what state Colorado is.
It's in Colorado. There's a state of
Is that
Colorado.
this one?
It's to the right of Phoenix.
Anyway, you get the picture. This game's really fun. They've got more games as well, like Guess the NBA Player, Mystery Fantasy Draft, and more. Stay tuned for all of the college football content and games that they'll be putting together to help you get the best experience out of college football 26. Back to the video.
Right, and I think like part of this conversation, it's funny because like this sparked conversation about like each team. Like I saw Michigan State fans saying like, "Oh, this is why Izzo's filling out the end of the roster the way he is." But I think the main thing I take away from this with Coach Cal is that it's very dependent on who that eight or nine guys is, right? Like if you are a team that is maybe lacking talent, it is not a badge of honor to only have eight guys if honestly like four of those guys are playable. I think you want to have eight or nine playable starting caliber level guys if it came down to it. Maybe not 13 or 14 like the full roster, but I think it's more so about how you build the roster. And to Coach Cal's point, I feel like he wants to identify eight or nine playable, really good guys and then fill out the roster the best way that he can. And I think you brought up. I think it's a team by team basis, right? Like Kentucky has 14 playable guys. Like their end of the bench guys are scholarship, like not walk on level guys. that might work. It might work if people buy into it, but also it might not work in another situation. Like, I mean, you look at Michigan. Michigan is in a spot where I feel like they have 8 or 9 guys, and then they have the rest of the roster kind of filled out with some auxiliary guys. So I think he makes a good point. I guess I will only say this though. How do you respond when people bring up the, oh, but injuries happen or shit happens? Like we saw that last year with Kentucky, their whole roster kind of got hurt, or even Coach Cal in Arkansas last year, like he wanted to play 14 guys, he ended up not doing it. So like, do you think like injuries and things like that factor into it?
Um, I think yes, injuries factor in, and I do think injuries matter. If your 8 or 9 guys are the level that Cal typically brings in 8 or 9 guys, I don't think you can build a roster built around them being injured because no one's gonna want to play behind them, if that makes sense, right? Like you can't. It's easier in a Mark Pope system where you're playing 11 or 12 guys to convince players like, hey, you're gonna come in and your minutes will expand if someone gets hurt. If you're I look at like Calipari, like it's kind of like the Thibodeau thing with the Knicks. It's like who wants to be the 10th man on the Knicks bench, and you only get in if somebody gets hurt. And it's kind of similar with Cal, right? So like I think it's one of those situations where it's just very dependent upon um of the situation. I do agree you should factor injuries in. I think it's harder for Cal to do that than other coaches though with his rotation style.
Yeah, look, I think it's all very dependent on the roster. Like I said, we'll see kind of how things play out. But yeah, I'm sure that we'll be coming back to this one when the 8 or 9 guys for Arkansas maybe aren't performing to the level that they will be. But I highly recommend everyone goes check out this podcast. It was classic, like two dudes that I think know hoop, talking hoop. And it was really fun to listen to. But shout out to the 2 Cent podcast and shout out to Coach Cal for his appearance.